an attitude that is very disruptive. For me, I find it very difficult to go back on my words, having agreed with you, this is what we are going to do. Now, the whole thing started this way. We'll program the vetting, we'll all agree on the numbers. Sometimes, on the day of the vetting, instruction will be given to the clerk that the minority will be engaged in doing one thing or the other. So instead of 9 o'clock, the vetting should rather start at 10. And when it happens that way, the entire program for that day is affected. Affected in the sense that what you have to do between 9 and 10, you will not be able to do it. And then it carries forward. That resulted into a particular day where Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare was supposed to be vetted. We've given her every assurance that she is on the list to be vetted. It got to her. The minority side said they were tired. They wouldn't be able to continue the vetting. And I was trying to persuade them that in view of the fact that some revered chiefs came all along from Techima, we can endure and vet her for that day to enable them leave the following day. This has even brought Honorable Ayariga between the majority and the... So, I will come to the actual...
No, we want to know what date are you talking about, especially the Honorable Ajari's story?
The date specifically, I'm not good at keeping dates, but it was the day. She was vetted the following day anyway. So when negotiations failed, we were compelled to go and apologize to the chiefs in the company of Honorable Mahama Ayariga. Then we had program from Monday to Friday. And on Tuesday, the committee's attention was drawn to an ostensible publication allegedly emanating from Mr. Oliver Baka Vomao. There were 2 posts. One was to the effect that the money that the nominees are paying to members of the committee. I don't think you are
interested in what happened with that.
Very well.
Right.
Very well. Then,
go ahead
when our attention was drawn to the media post, the committee, instead of sitting, will have to recall to a conclave. Now, at the conclave, a decision was taken by the minority side that on that Tuesday, based on that post, there should be no vetting at all. And we had to more or less plead and prevail on them that in view of the fact that we had already invited the nominees who are here with the chiefs, opinion leaders, it would be unfair not to vet them. So we should go ahead with the vetting. Honorable committee members, if you go to play the video on that Tuesday, what we agreed upon...
Was it a Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Before Mr.
Vomawa on Wednesday.
Okay.
When we even resumed sitting, you could see the posture of the minority whip that we will not continue the vetting, banging the table. We will not continue the vetting that day. I employ the committee members to look at the proceedings on that Tuesday. So that was the posture. We had to permeate our way through to be able to do the vetting of the people selected for that day. Now, at conclave, we agree that Wednesday would deal with the issue pertaining to Oliver Baker Vomawa. Then thereafter, we'll continue to do vetting. Again, the posture from the minority side was that Tuesday, there would be no vetting. That Wednesday, there will be no vetting on Wednesday. Life is all about give and take. As a result, we are not able to vet any nominee on Wednesday, and then we use the Wednesday to deal with the issues pertaining to Mr. Oliver Baker Vomawa. Though we closed early because of the decision that there was not going to be vetting, we then used the period to task the clerk with the responsibility to merge that Wednesday with Thursday. The nominees that are to be vetted on Wednesday that we couldn't do, she should merge it with Friday. And then let's look at the number. Now the number became 8. And at a meeting, we've decided that if on average we have to use 2 hours on one person, then that would have been 16 hours of sitting. It would have been too much, given the fact that some people may be vetted within 1 hour. We agreed to do the first 6. First, it was the first 5. Then I received a call from Honorable Minority Leader that he is okay, we can add a candle to be taken on that day. Therefore, 6 people were programmed to be taken. Then there was an agreement that the backlog, being the 2, should be added to the following day, which is Friday. And if we are not able to exhaust, then we can take a decision whether we are coming on Saturday or it should be Monday or Tuesday. In fact, this has also brought in Honorable Mahama Ayariga, the leader of the House. And he even came out to say that clearly we need to negotiate the Saturday because Saturday is not a working day. So therefore, if you are not able to finish on Friday and we cannot come on Saturday, then probably Monday or Tuesday will be the next available date. So I was surprised that in the morning of that Thursday, the clerk came to me to say that instead of what we have agreed upon, she has received a text message from the minority whip in the person of Anodompre, which text message she showed to me that we are only going to do 4. That is why I have a difficulty. You agree on one thing, then behind you want to do another thing. I wasn't comfortable. So I just told the clerk that whatever we agreed upon, that is what we are going to do. So on that Thursday, we had programmed to start the first person at 9 o'clock. I came to office around 8:30, about 8:45. I received a call from the assistant clerk to the effect that he had received a call from Honorable Anodompre that there will be a caucus meeting of the minority. Therefore, instead of 9 o'clock, we should again start proceedings at 10 o'clock. For me, as a member of parliament, you may not have control over a caucus meeting. So when they are going to have a caucus meeting, I have no problem about it. So I have decided to walk to the chamber. Then on my way to the chamber, I met few MPs from the minority side and asked, I understand you are having a caucus meeting. Are you not attending the caucus meeting? Only for me to be told that there was no caucus meeting. So 10 o'clock, I have decided to start the vetting. And when they walk in after I have started, I told them in a plain language that I do not like the seat. We are all members of parliament. If you have a challenge of a caucus meeting, I would agree with you. But a situation where you do not have a caucus, but you deceive me in order to delay the proceedings of that day, to say that you have a caucus meeting, I won't take it kindly. And that is not the way we should be going. The response was that if they mean caucus meeting, it doesn't mean the entire minority caucus. As if I do not know the meaning placed on the caucus in our own standing orders. I took it in a good faith and we were proceeding. I was surprised after vetting the Minister for Transport. Based on the agreement, I asked the Minister designate for Health to take his seat. It was there that I realized that we are tired, we will not do Honorable Akando. Akando will not be vetted today in a very rowdy manner. Based on my posture, I was engaging the minority leader to the effect that you said you are comfortable for Akando to be taken today. What has changed? What really has changed? Mostly the response will be that it is not me, I am under pressure. It's not me, I am under pressure. I'm also a politician, I understand. So I was making an attempt to persuade them that in view of the fact that Honorable Akando had to bring the chiefs and opinion leaders from Juaboso, and he being the last person, there are instances where vetting of the committee will end at 10, 10:30, 11. And this is just getting to about 8 o'clock. So we could accommodate and take Honorable Akando for that day so that the rest of the two will be shifted to the following day. And if we are not able to finish the following day, then we could consequently adjust ourselves and finish the following week. Then what I realized was that whilst that negotiation was ongoing, I heard the minority leader requesting that they should call some people into the vetting room. And in no time, they started walking to the vetting room. And that very day, minority leader was so harsh to the deputy, second deputy whip, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. I intend not to repeat the words inflicted on him that very day. So I realized that they were under some kind of instruction from their leader to do certain things. Honorable members of the committee, let me place on record that there are some instances where my ranking member will ask their side that they should all stand up and put on the microphone. And by putting on the microphone, all other microphones will be disabled. And you cannot do anything when all the microphones were on. So to some extent, I do not really understand what they want. Because, honorable members, by my level of tolerance and the way and the manner I have accommodated them, sometimes I do not expect it to be treated in a particular way. And as I said, life is about give and take. we were prepared to give and we were prepared to take. So I also expected them to also give and take. So before I could realize, somebody said something in tree and they started pulling the cables, and I mean there was a pandemonium. The whole place became very hostile. And if you can watch the video carefully, I was so much surprised about the incidents of that day, and I was just sitting down looking at them. As usual, the honorable leader came in trying to restore order, but they wouldn't listen. And once the video accounts is before you, I intend not to repeat whatever happened, because the video would speak louder than my voice. I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Bernard, I hope I'm allowed to call you.
Yes, please.
Bernard, because I might forget myself if I always have to say second deputy speaker, first deputy speaker. Congratulations again on your high office.
Thank you.
It's finished. So, colleagues, if you have some questions for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable First Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the committee. From the account that you have given, I think that there is a big problem about scheduling and then being firm about your scheduling. Would you want to agree with me that this whole problem came about as a result of the decision you took not to vet nominees who were scheduled for Wednesday, and you knew very well that these nominees had invited people, chiefs, their friends, their relatives, and whatnot. And yet, the committee was persuaded by the minority not to carry out vetting. And that is what actually created the congestion and the subsequent challenges that we have. I believe that.
Thank you very much for your question. I understand the impulse of your question. Honorable members, danger begets man. It is the cry of distress that will summon for relief. Our integrity as members of the committee were at stake. In the history of our Fourth Republic, every vetting cycle will be tagged with corruption. And I disstate corruptions and corruption-related matters. So for the committee to be tagged with corruption, which I know it is not true, any reasonable person guided by all those considerations that regulate the conduct of human affairs would agree that we should deal with the issue affecting our image before continuing the vetting. And honorable members, on that Wednesday, I was with the view that we should deal with the issues relating to Oliver Baker-Vormawor. Then we can continue the vetting. If we are not able to exhaust all of them that day, then the backlog will be very, very few. But the posture was not favorable. Remember, I told the committee that when our attention was drawn to the posts on Tuesday, our friends from the minority have already taken a decision that there would be no vetting until that issue was resolved. That was the reason for me asking the committee to take a look at the proceedings on Tuesday, particularly the time that we had to start the vetting on Tuesday. A lot of negotiation had gone into continuing the proceedings even on that Tuesday. So we were not successful in agreeing to do the vetting on Wednesday, and that has accounted largely to the backlog. So I will not say it has not contributed to the incidents, it has contributed to the incidents. But I have been in Parliament for a very long time. You can agree and disagree. Even before the committee, there were agreement and disagreement, and we normally suspend. So if you watch the proceedings, there are instances where I will suspend proceedings to go and judge. And even that money, we did some kind of consultation, and then we agree on the 6 people to be vetted. So I was surprised what really changed when the very last person that you reach out to me to say that you are comfortable for him to be vetted that day. When I invited him to take the seat, then this whole thing have started. So between the time that they communicated to me that he can be added as the 6th person and the time that I invited him to take the seat, I do not know what went on among our colleagues at the minority side.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We have a lot of questions for you being the chairperson, so please be concise and precise so that we can finish with you for you to be able to go and preside over the House. So please be concise and precise.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My question, it's a twofold question. My first question is, at any point when the situation deteriorated, did you call for order? That's the part A. And, okay, first, that's the first question.
Yes, I did. You can hear me shouting, order, let there be order, honorable members, let there be order, let there be order. So I was trying to restore order when word was said in tree, as a moon tree cables. No, I'm not good at tree. So immediately that has been said, they started pulling the cables, and my microphone was disconnected, and no matter how I shout, nobody can hear me.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My second question is, at any point after you tried to call for order and that was not happening, did you attempt to suspend the sitting of the committee?
Well, at that point, I really do not see the need. I thought by saying order, order, and engaging the minority leader and the ranking member on the side as to what has really changed resulting into this, I thought the two of us could resolve it among ourselves and proceed to conduct the vetting. So whilst that engagement was going on between me and the minority leader, the tree word came and they started pulling the cables and the whole thing just started. I do not know whether the rest of the minority members were having the feelings that my engagement with the minority leader would result into a calm and the proceedings ongoing. And there was that word spilled out and the whole thing became uncontrollable. I believed a little patience would have resolved the issue between me and the minority leader, but he also didn't have.
Thank you. So just to make sure, you did not call for a suspension of the sitting. Very well. My final question is, at any point, did the marshals enter the committee room on your instruction? Or did you call for the marshals to enter?
Yes, I asked my usher to bring in the marshal because I sit as a chair with my ears widely open.
Oh, Vincent.
Chair, good. Thank you very much. The Speaker, would you be surprised that those who were involved in the scuffle, we had one person who was not a member of parliament, not part of parliamentary staff. Let me use the word, he was an imposter, yet he was a stranger, yet he was part of the scuffle.
Well, I won't be surprised. As I indicated, there was a voice saying, call them in. So I wouldn't be able to know exactly who were requested to be called in. And I must say that we have fresh members of parliament that I am yet to be familiar with. So it's difficult to say this is a member of parliament, this is not a member of parliament. But I already told the committee that he said, call them in. And I wouldn't know who exactly were requested to be called in. So it is possible that there may be an imposter called in.
Yeah, Honorable.
Last one.
Sorry.
Just to ask if you recommend in future to beef up the security, especially around this activity, because looking at what happened and then what we have also heard, the number of people come along with nominees, would you recommend that in future at least we put some limitation on the number of people that will come along with nominees?
Thank you very much, exactly so. And I must admit that on this occasion, if you look at the letters written to the nominees, there is a maximum beyond which you must not go. That is 10. But I must say, this has been grossly abused by most of the nominees. The letter says 10.
Honorable Bid. Question? Okay. Honorable Izara.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Speaker, since this is your first time of chairing the appointment committee, do you feel that minority showed some bad faith during this episode?
Thank you very much. I have been in minority, and I came to Parliament in majority. I have been involved in committee proceedings. I must say that sometimes I see frustration on part of the minority because there were some external pressure on them, and that has resulted into them doing certain things that ordinarily should not happen. Mr. Chairman, if I may be give you a bit background. Honorable Emmanuel Amaboa was scheduled to be vetted on Monday. Then on Saturday in the evening, I received a call from the minority leader to the effect that some people are not too happy about the last State of the Nation address of the former president, particularly the words used by Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. They felt that the president has been denigrated. As a result, there was a pressure not to proceed to vet Honorable Amabua. And I said, no, this will be real difficulty. I would find it very difficult to accede to the request, particularly if he has been written to appear on Monday. So I reached out to the clerk of the committee, and there was a confirmation that he had been handed over a letter to appear on Monday. So I called back to say that it's going to be very difficult. The event that unfolded resulted into the influencing the minority leaders' behavior towards the clerk. Because there was an issue to the effect that the clerk should take me as a chairman out of the arrangement to vet or not to vet Amabua on Monday, Honorable Emmanuel Amabua on Monday, and take the responsibility, take him also out, and then postpone Emmanuel Amabua, which was difficult for the clerk to do. And I believe the minority leader is not happy about this. So I'm of the view that they were also under some kind of pressures informing the way they go about doing certain things. There was a pressure that Honorable Sam George should not be vetted. Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa should be the last to be vetted. So a lot has been happening.
Thank you very much, Honorable Enyimedo.
Mr. Chairman, this is the first time you are chairing a committee in this House. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct, because I entered Parliament in 2013, and the very first post I was given was the Vice Chairman for the Judiciary Committee, and I have occasion of chairing the Judiciary Committee. Then in my second term, I became the Vice Chairman for the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, and you are aware that I've also been chairing the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. Then I became a ranking member for Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. So this is actually not my first experience chairing, but this is my first experience chairing the Appointment Committee.
Yeah, but what you said, the explanation you've given me, says that you were advised to some committees, but this is the first time you are chairman of a committee. Is that correct?
No, I was vice chairman for Judiciary Committee in my first term. So I had the opportunity to chair in the absence of the chairman. Then in my second
chairing
term,
a committee, but being holding the position of a chairman of a committee, this is the first time, because you were vice chair. I'm not saying this is the first experience of chairing a meeting.
well, your word used is that this is your first time of chairing a committee. Chairing a committee is one thing, and holding the position of a chairman of a committee is another thing.
Okay, so I'm asking the fact that this is the first time you are holding the position of a chairman.
Exactly so.
Right. Would you agree with me from your narrative that prior to when the Thursday meeting, you were prejudiced against the minority?
It is far from that.
Why did you say we should
not.
go and look at their faces on the Tuesday proceedings?
Well, the whole thing emanated from Tuesday, and the actual rioting started on that Tuesday. I said so because over the publication, we have taken a decision at conclave to deal with the issue. So I was highly surprised that we'll resolve that at conclave. Then we'll come to the sitting, And a member at conclave will be hitting the table that there will be no vetting. There will be no vetting. There will be no vetting. That is why I'm saying that I am surprised about certain turn of event. Because for me, if I agree to do something with you, why would I change my mind all of a sudden and come and be doing something different?
Yeah, I think you have said so, that you are a man of your own words. You don't want you to be taken unaware of the things that you've agreed on from the onset. And so maybe my vice chair will be guided as he asks the next question.
I know Bedan very well. You said along the line, minority leader called, you received a phone call that Honorable Akando should be added to the list of the nominees that were going to engage on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm speaking on oath, and this is confirmed.
I have no reason to doubt you.
Yes.
My next question is that when
yes,
you
let me conclude my answer. Yes, and this was followed by his directive to the minority whip, who also called the clerk of the committee that Akando should be added.
Now, when you received this call, did you inform the rest of the committee members that you were going to deal with Honorable Akando on that day?
Well, thank you very much. We have chairman and we have ranking. And you know, chairman leads the majority side and ranking leads the minority side. So what I did was to inform my members in the morning that Akando will be added. And then probably the minority leader also communicated with his members, leading to the minority whip placing a call to the clerk of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, did you find out whether the minority side had been communicated to so far as this additional nominee was concerned?
Well, I do not expect to reach an agreement with the minority leader, out of which the minority whip will call the clerk, and the rest of the members may not be aware. But I'm not in a position to tell whether the other two have been informed, because there were 4 on the committee. So 2 was involved. So it's left with the other 2.
Mr. Chairman, with a little patience, the scaffold that we witnessed could have been prevented. You agree with me on that?
100%.
Now, the case of the minority was that they were being surprised. Were you surprised to hear that they were being ambushed?
I will be highly surprised. Highly, highly surprised.
Severally, you mentioned...
I said so because some of the changes that were made, the minority leader and the whip has instances of making their input on the table. And maybe probably the clerk of the committee will be able to produce that particular record, because when we agreed, then I would then instruct the clerk that this is what we have agreed upon. So the clerk should have some of those arrangements that were altered by ticking and cancellation, and they can subject it to a forensic to establish that it is in the handwriting of the minority leader and sometimes the whip, the minority whip.
You have said repeatedly that you had gone into conclave with the committee. How many people did you agree to vet on that Thursday?
That Thursday, original list that was not altered was 3. But because we didn't work on Wednesday, the agreement was that they should merge the two. And after merging the two, we realized that it is 8. I will not be able to do the 8. So we've taken a decision to do the first 5. And there was a follow-up call that we should add a candle, making 6.
So what about Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa? He was supposed to be the 7th person?
Honorable members, Okudzeto Ablakwa was one of the original people to be vetted on Thursday. So if you see his letter slated Thursday.
Honorable First Deputy Speaker, you just mentioned that during your conclave meetings, you've agreed to add Honorable Akando. That will make it 6. And so, Honorable Okudzeto, even though he has original letter slated for Thursday, because the committee agreed that you are going to have that meeting, that you agreed that Akando should be added to the 5 members who are supposed to be vetted on Wednesday, shifted to Thursday. So, in a nutshell, Okudzeto was not part of the second agreement that you had with your members.
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Honorable members of the committee, sometimes some of the nominees take less than 1 hour before us. So the instruction to the clerk of the committee is that she should hold the list of the 8. If you are able to go beyond the 6, then they could also be taken. Because sometimes it's difficult to predict the length of time that the committee will take to vet one person. And having watched the videos, you can agree with me that some people were vetted 45 minutes, less than 1 hour, they are also vetted. So if we are able to use the same approach, it is possible we could even say that, oh, we want to vet 6 people, but looking at the time that we have finished the vetting, is it possible to take the additional 2, meaning that the whole list is exhausted? So we didn't have a block mind on that, going beyond the 6. We never had a block mind on that. And as a matter of fact, if we had even started early and there was no 1 hour delay, we could have even done more than the 6.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the chaos engendered because of poor planning by the committee.
Well, I am of exception in the sense that how could poor planning lead to an arrangement of a timetable?
I say poor planning because as of 8 p.m., we still had, and according to the list and what we have received, you still had 2 nominees waiting with their followers, their chiefs, their relatives, and whatnot, as of 8 p.m.
Honorable member, I indicated before the committee that our target is 6. The rest would have been a surplus to the committee, depending upon the way the time was used.
So, it's not my last one. So you say the 6 were, you had planned to vet 6, and 2 more were waiting. So if you had finished, or you were supposed to do the 8 in all. So it was, if we are able to, then the others would be vetted. And therefore you had invited all the nominees to come with their followers.
Honorable member, clearly speaking, because of the backlog, the number went to 8. But before the backlog, the nominees were written to. They were given letters. So it is not the case that we have agreed on the 6 and again issued letter for 2 to be on standby. The number was as a result, because when we agreed on the timetable for the week, the clerk was instructed to give letters according to the calendar agreed upon, according to the program, and then the time frame. So the clerk has already communicated that to them. And it was the 8th for that day was as a result of the backlog, which we'll have to deal with. So it's not the case that they have been written a letter after the backlog to say that we have deliberately invited 8 when we know we can only deal with 6.
Honorable Ahiafo, you insisted when, according to you, some of the minority leaders told you that they were having a caucus meeting, and then you, on your own, found out that there was no caucus meeting. At that point, you went ahead to do the vetting without the minority. Is that correct?
No, it is far from that. Honorable members, I waited and I entered the vetting room exactly at 10 o'clock. That they changed the 9 o'clock too. So we commenced proceeding that day around 10:25.
So if you started on the time that you agreed on, why are you telling us that they said they were going for a caucus meeting and they didn't have a caucus
Honorable
meeting? What is the relevance of that?
The point that I am making is that the scheduled time was 9 o'clock. So around 8:45, I received a call to rather shift the time to 10 o'clock. And for me, a decision to have a caucus may not be taken the very morning. I have been a member of the caucus. How do you reach out to your caucus members to attend meeting? So I became surprised. Yet, I have decided to accommodate by shifting the commencement of the vetting from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And by 10 o'clock, I walk into the vetting room. And we commence vetting around 10:25.
Mr. Chair, what I'm saying is that, don't you think you would have presented it better if you had said that we initially agreed at 9, but later we agreed to commence proceedings at 10, but we started at 10, but some of the members of the minority were late? Don't you think that would have been better?
Honorable Animedu Entry, it will interest you.
Address the chair.
Honorable Chairman, it will interest you to know that sometimes we would agree to start vetting at 9 o'clock. The majority side will come and be waiting for the minority side.
Well,
you can watch all the proceedings.
Honorable Speaker, even today we agreed to start at 10, but
Yes.
we started at 10:30.
Yes.
So it's possible.
Yes.
Relax. This is a friendly chat.
I'm more than relaxed.
Honorable Nyimedu, this is your last question.
Well, I will not ask the question again, but I will advise my brother as the chair that with little restraint, I would want the chairman to be very accommodating, and then we can have a free life. Thank you.
This is a free advice.
Thank you very much, but with the free advice, I want to place on record that I have been very tolerant and accommodative.
I know.
As a result of which the general public even have the feeling that my level of tolerance was too much, that I was even weak.
I know the two of you have been friends.
We are brothers.
And you are brothers. So whether you are tolerant or not tolerant, the two of you know each other. And so please, let's keep it like that. On that note, First Deputy Speaker, we want to discharge you. Thank you very much for attending upon this committee. We'll now take Honorable...
Thank you very much for having me.
Honorable Jifar Ablagomashi. Please, we have this should be not more than 10 minutes. We have other colleagues coming in. They've called that they want to come. And so please let it be as short as possible. Thank you.
I, Ablaji Fagomashi,
swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue
shall
be the truth,
the
whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jifa Abla Gomashi, Minister Abla Jifa Gomashi. Thank you for attending upon this committee. As you watched the video, you saw yourself in the video. Please, can you tell us, this committee, what really happened on that fateful day?
Good morning again to everybody. Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity. On that fateful day, I saw the absence of tolerance. I saw the absence of camaraderie. I saw the absence of the respect for this institution called the Parliament of Ghana. On that fateful day, I saw total disrespect for a woman who has risen through the ranks to be the clerk to the committee that was vetting nominees for His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. I saw an attack on the woman and the inability of leadership of the committee to protect her. I saw total chaos in the committee room and the destruction of property belonging to the Republic of Ghana. Chairman, that is what I saw, that's what I felt, and that's what I've come to share with you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Committee members, this was what Honorable Ablaji Fagomashi saw. Any question?
Okay, Chair, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, you had the opportunity to watch the videos, okay? So you confirm that the videos that was shown to us have not been doctored.
I can confirm that it is not doctored and it is the reflection of the person who took it from a certain angle in the room. I mean that I saw more than what was shown on the screen. Thank you.
Honorable Gisela.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, what do you think, from where you sat, from the videos I saw, you were sitting at from the middle to the north end of the table. What do you think, from where you sat, could have triggered this scenario? Was it misunderstanding, not intolerance, or what could have triggered it?
Thank you very much, Chair. I sat right where my handbag is right now, and the clerk to the committee sat to my right. I think that fellow feeling, mutual respect for one another, and the office, and this office, could have averted all that happened, if that answers your question.
Okay, since members do not have more questions for you, let me find out. Oh, you have a question. Okay, let me ask my question, then I'll allow you. what were you doing here on that day? You are not a member of the committee. What were you doing here?
Yes, Chairman, I am not a member of the committee, but I received an invitation from my colleagues who were nominated and were going to be vetted. Specifically, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa and Honorable Samuel Jatta George. And I obliged to attend to them. Thank you.
Honorable Bede.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Mr. Chairman, from the video that we saw, we observed that and stood up. What did you intend to do? You stood up.
To defend the clerk, really, it was difficult to watch what was happening, and I felt helpless. I saw that she's a very calm woman. I asked her, can you hear my side asking you to swear in Honorable Akando? And she calmly, with poise and finesse, said, the clerk to Parliament is in the room. I take instructions from him, not from you. And I thought, but, sorry. It was really hard to watch. I'm sorry.
Just a follow-up. So your action was not to participate what was going on.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a member of Parliament and lucky to be, or blessed to be, the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. I am standing on the shoulders of all women who have fought, including the amazing Haji Ladi who is sitting at this table, to dare to be who I am today. And it was hard for me to watch another woman who had also worked hard and was here in her capacity as a representative of Parliament, being virtually lynched by a man who should know better. I impulsively just stood up to ask him, what are you going to do? Because he kept saying, I will deal with you. And because she couldn't speak, I impulsively thought that I had become Yes Santua for a moment. And I got up to ask him what he was going to do to her. Because it was the right thing to do at that moment. I'm not sure if I would allow myself to shout across a room like that again. But on that day, it was the best I could do. Thank you.
So finally, who was that person who was shouting?
It was the it was the minority leader, Honorable Kwamena Apanyumaking, who was shouting across the room.
I, Al-Hassan Umar, swear by the Almighty Allah, that the evidence I shall give before this committee, touching the matter in issue, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me Allah.
Thank you, Honourable, for responding to the invitation of the committee. The chairman has just stepped out briefly and has asked me to hold the space. If you could just kindly introduce yourself first and foremost, and then proceed to just let us know where you were on the day, and I believe you saw the video, and just to confirm whether you were the person we identified in the video. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Al Hassan Umar, MP for Zabzugu. I also a member of the appointment committee. I was seated where the clerk is next to Haji Aladi. I think I observed all the proceedings to the end. And if you watch the video, you'll see me being surprised, pointing fingers or hand to people on the opposite side for the activities that was unveiling before us and the national platform and how we were bringing Parliament and the title honorable to disrepute. That was my concern. Thank you.
Miss, any questions?
So, honorable member, I hope you have, can you tell us what happened on, I know you are a member of the appointment committee. Can you just brief us briefly, because the cameras are needed in the chamber now, and so after two of you, the rest, we will do it without the cameras, because we have to go to the...
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. On that day, which happened, which was Thursday, standing on the account of Chairman, who is also the first Deputy Speaker, we had preempted the Wednesday vetting. And so we had a backlog of nominees that had to be vetted. On arrival, we entered the hall, the committee hall, to do the vetting at 10. Whilst we were here, our colleagues, the minority, Chief Whip came and said, no, we cannot have the vetting go on. We needed to go into conclave to meet. So we followed them up to the committee room adjacent to this place. And when we look at the list, they said no. They are going to do 4, and a candle will be included. But we said, look, we didn't do we preempted Wednesday, and so those bad luck, if we are able to finish the 4 early, then we could add some of them, and so that the overflow would be sent to Friday. And that was the agreement. Now, still the Chief Whip, Honorable Anudampra, was heard still yelling and not agreeing. So when we entered the hall, when we came back to the committee to start, we had finished the last person, that was transport, and the chairman asked Honorable Akando to take his seat. And when Honorable Akando came to take his seat, the minority leader stood up and said he would not agree. The chief whip of the minority got up and was banging the table. Then the non-members of the committee but belonging to minority flocked in their numbers and started disrupting the tables, pulled the tables as well as the microphones. And when chairman said the clerk should read the oath and allow the nominee to take the oath, then the opponents, that is Honorable Anunompre and Co., they put on their mics. And so there was no way any mic could work again. And that brought it to a...
Sorry, they are not opponents. They are the minority.
Thank you, Chairman, for the guidance. And so they were not still satisfied. All what we saw was that one of them, the deputy minority whip, came to the nominee to prevent him from taking his oath. If you watch the video, you see him. And so we were surprised. And that was when the scaffold continued.
Can you give us the name of the whip who went to prevent Honorable Akanda from taking his oath?
Honorable Ahmed Shaibu, who came here, and if you watch the video, you'll see him. Jerry Shaibu, I think it's Jerry Shaibu, MP for Wager. Okay, MP for Wager. So they came to prevent him, and so the nominee also, supporters and sympathizers, prevented him, and so there was scuffle. Then there was this MP, a non-member of the committee, but I believe one of the people called in to fight. Former Deputy Minister for Trade. I was just seated across. And he pulled the second text at that time.
As Honorable Michael Ochri Befi.
Exactly, I don't know his name.
Okay.
And so he pulled the table, widening the space, as Honorable Anunompre and Co. had also pulled the first table. So the space started widening. And so everything started, even at the time we had some cups of coffee, everything started dismantling. So you could see that our colleagues who were still in the house also came to help, rearrange the tables. And that was when the scaffold went out of hand. And so it led to one of the tables, the first table, I saw it going up and coming down with two legs.
Okay, colleagues, we've all watched the video. It looks like he has just informed the House exactly what we saw. And so if you have any question, quick one, so that I can take the next witness.
Thank you, Chairman. My colleague, Member of Parliament for where? Zabzugu. I just want to find out, after the minority brought in some members, some of them were members of Parliament, but were not members of the committee. We could also see some of our members who were also not members of the appointment committee. They also came in. Would you tell us that their presence helped or it also exacerbated the problem? Those from our side, because I could see that most of them came in for a purpose. So their presence, was it helpful, or it really exacerbated the problem?
Thank you, Chairman. I think our colleagues came to stabilize the unwarranted attacks on the committee members, because if you look at it, the minority side from day one or from the morning, I think it started on Tuesday, were bent on not allowing the process to flow, as my chairman explained.
Yeah, I heard earlier that those MPs were called in by the leadership of the minority caucus. Did you also hear anything from the majority side that they should also try to mobilize to stabilize the situation? Did you also hear anything like that?
No, I did not hear anything from my chief whip or any member of the majority side. Maybe our colleagues saw it on the TV in their rooms, so they decided to come.
Did you also observe that apart from the members of parliament, we had someone who wasn't a member also involved? And I think he was also helping to stabilize the situation or was a debated. He wasn't a member of parliament, but he also came on board. Did you realize that?
No, you know, I'm one of the Asha returns, so a lot of the first timers and also who came after me, I'm still trying to get to know them.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Alhassan Umar. We thank you for attending upon this committee. If we need you again, we'll call on you. Thank you. You are discharged. Can we call Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Ntekunu? You were here when we showed the video. Okay. Can you please administer the oath?
So we start. I,
Emmanuel Kofi Ntekuni,
swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue
shall
be the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
So
help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Ntekunu, you're welcome. Are you a member of the appointment committee?
No, please.
So on the 30th of January, what were you doing here in this room?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But before I proceed, the correct pronunciation of my name is Ntekuni. Ntekuni. Thank you. Yes, so...
thank you for the correction.
I am not a member of the appointment committee, but as a first entrant in the parliament, I took key interest to come here, observe and learn. So I was here to observe and learn.
So can you tell us what exactly you saw on that 30th of January when you were here?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I'm happy you gave me the opportunity to give my vivid account of what happened on that day. Yes, I was right.
If you can summarize it for us within 5 minutes.
Right, thank you. If you watch all the videos, you see that I was all over, conspicuously and visibly seen.
You were in a light blue shirt, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, we saw you.
Thank you.
That's why we invited you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so my role was to bring calm, prevent and protect state property. I was right behind the minority group, and I saw what happened. The message came from Honorable Minority Leader to Honorable Anodrampe, and then he transmitted it to Honorable Jerry to tell the caucus members that they were not going to participate in the vetting of the nominees. So I quickly went to Honorable Jerry and told him that they needed to do that, because looking at the people who came, they needed to clear them so that they can go home. Some people were from far places. He said, no, it won't happen. And then I stood aside. I engaged, in the video you saw, I engaged most of the minority groups to persuade them. And I even suggested to them that they should go into conclave and dialogue with our leadership so that this thing should not degenerate into a different thing. No, they said, not everything that you have to dialogue. So I stood aloof, aside. Then, all of a sudden, Honorable Anodrampe started issuing command that they should pull the tables apart. So in one of the videos, you will see that I was the one he shouted to ask me, who are you? So upon seeing that, I went to him and tapped at his back gently. And I said, Honorable, you are a leader. You don't need to do this and destroy the state property. And the video, it was captured clearly. You don't need to spoil the state property. So he turned and looked at me and then quizzed me, who are you? So I calmly answered him, I'm a member of parliament for Pro West. And he said, it won't happen. That was the way he used, it will not happen. I said, no, but you have a better way of doing this, not by agitation and aggression. So he continued with the process. So in the video, you saw that I held two people's hands. One was Honorable Baefi. He attempted, should I say, struggling or going physical with Honorable Peso. Yes. And then I held his hand just to prevent that. He struggled, and then I told him, calm down. You saw in the video, I was just trying to calm both sides, calming them down, calm down. It hasn't gotten to that. Don't do this. So it was a smile all this while with them, persuasion and all that. Then they went ahead. The command kept coming, pull the table and the gadgets apart. That was when we also started.
The command came from who?
From Honorable Anodrampe.
Okay.
So that was when we also started pulling the tables apart as they pulled them, pushing them together as they were pulling them apart.
You and who?
Myself, I saw this honorable man, one
Honorable
Dakpe, and then one from Bia East. Is it Bia East?
Charles Asedu.
Charles Asedu was there, and that guy too. So, okay. So we were trying hard to keep the tables together so that the process could continue. In the process, they were overpowering us with their force. That was when Honorable Chief Whip came in to support us there so that we could keep the tables together. And then there was a space as they pulled the tables apart. The Honorable Jerry got in between the tables, still was pushing it away. That was when the gadgets started falling apart and all that. So you saw me holding the table. It wasn't like I was trying to, destroy the table. But as Honorable Jerry was trying to pull it, we resisted it, and it felt like he has to raise it. So counter resistance must happen to bring the table down. That was when you saw me in the video raising the table. The table came down, and surprisingly, the leg, one of the legs that was in touch with the ground got broken. But the one above, one of them above, was not broken. And that was the second time I held another honorable's hand. So one honorable man intentionally broke the leg of the table. So in an attempt to do that, I held a hand.
Okay.
And then...
Who is that honorable man again? Who broke the leg intentionally?
I can identify the person by his image.
We'll be inviting you again tomorrow. Some of you will be coming back tomorrow. We've noticed that some of you were actively involved.
Yes.
Today we are just taking witnesses. And then tomorrow, those who were actively involved, including yourself, will be here again. And so we'll show you the video where you were involved, where you lifted a table or preventing the table from being lifted.
Exactly.
And so there are questions, follow-up questions that we'll be asking you tomorrow. And so I'll leave my colleagues if they have any question concerning witnessing. With what he has seen, he has narrated it, if you have any question, so that tomorrow we can go deeper into the main issues.
Thank you, Chairman. So, the real reason why we saw you moving around and we saw you actually very busy was to avert the distraction which was about to be caused by reason of the commission. That's the reason why you were moving around.
Honorable Chair, that's right. That is so.
Honorable. According to, you said you came to observe and to learn. That was the reason why. You did not get any call from the leadership of the majority caucus to come in.
Honorable Chair, no. I was here before the incident started.
Are you very proud of what you did?
Are you trying to reach him?
Honorable, can you please?
I'm asking you whether you are very, very proud of what you observed.
Honorable Chair, no. Issue that I thought could easily be resolved amicably by dialogue or going to conclave, which I personally told them to do, that degenerated into a different thing altogether, so I wasn't proud.
And as a first timer, I knew before you came to Parliament you had a very high expectation. So, what is the picture now about what you saw? What is the picture?
Honorable, parliamentarians are highly regarded and respected. What I saw here painted a different picture outside there, but I know it was one of those things. I still have high respect for honorable members.
Honorable Zaneto.
Thank you very much. This is actually more a question for you, Mr. Chairman. Given that the witness has mentioned having identified who broke one of the table legs, given that part of the mandate of this committee is to ascertain who was part of the direct involvement of the destruction of property, would it be out of order to perhaps show footage so he can actually identify the person by face, since he does not know the person by name?
We agreed yesterday that we're going to look into the very details of breaking tables and chairs, and as well as removing the cables. That will be done tomorrow. And so tomorrow we'll invite him again to identify the culprit or the honorable member who we know, we saw it, but he might not know the person. But as he watch the video with us tomorrow, he will identify the person, because we also who went under the table by breaking the leg of the table.
Mr. Chair, honorable member, this is like a baptism of fire, isn't it?
Exactly so.
This is not what you expected.
That is so.
Yes, nobody did. I think this is a lesson to all of us. Those who were in the room, those who watched it immediately online or afterwards, that there should be a bit more tolerance amongst us. And so as a first timer, don't let this be the norm. And this goes out to all first timers also. Even second timers like myself. This should not be the norm. And this is not what the public should see us do. And this goes to both the majority and the minority. Thank you. I'm sure you'll be called again tomorrow.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And you might have seen the videos, the role I played by calming both sides down. And I'm not that type, not aggressive, and I believe in dialogue and join to, arrive at a concrete decision. Thank you.
Well, we are not here to praise you. We are here to assess and know those who are involved, deeply involved. And so tomorrow we'll be here again. You will see yourself lifting table, and then you will tell us whether your involvement resulted in the breaking of the table. And so you are discharged for today. We'll invite you tomorrow again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Strong expression of disagreement by the minority side of the committee. But I remained seated for a while, and I was observing proceedings to see how the chairman of the committee was going to manage the situation. So I was seated there for a long time. I never got up. I never uttered a word. I just sat there and I was watching. And the minority members rose up and will not sit, will not leave the room, and publicly were expressing their disagreement with the chairman to continue with the vetting exercise. So I remained seated, and after a while, when I noticed that it was difficult for the chairman to bring order to the room, I decided to get up from where I was seated and start talking to both sides to understand what really was the problem. Because I'm not a member of the committee. I don't know what discussions took place. I just heard both sides exchanging words and shouting at each other. I heard words like ambush. I heard words like we didn't agree on this. And I heard words like we must vet them. And I heard words like you cannot stop us. And so I knew that there was some disagreement somewhere, but what it was, I didn't know. So I tried to talk to them to try and hear what the issue was. So I walked to all the sides trying to understand what is the problem. On the minority side, they said that they had had some discussions, and the understanding was that they were supposed to vet 3 nominees, and then later on there was a plea to add a 4th nominee, and they agreed. After that, there was a plea to add a 5th nominee, and that was the nominee for the Minister of Transport. And then there was resistance, but according to them, Honorable Nitu tried to convince the side to accede to the plea by the majority side to add the nominee for the Ministry of Transport. And so ultimately they agreed. And that was the nomination that I came and met. But towards the end, they have seen that the majority side is parading 2 additional nominees. And those were Akando and then Honorable Ablakwa. And that they were not going to entertain the nomination of these 2 other, the vetting of these 2 other nominees. And I heard their side. So I tried to speak to the chairman and then the majority side. They also indicated that there was no agreement to vet only 3 people, and that because of the decision to hear Vamevo, they had pushed all those who were supposed to be nominated that day to the Thursday. So they were hoping to clear both the nominees for Wednesday and Thursday on Thursday. So that was what they were seeking to achieve, which is just to complete the task that was before them. And there was strong disagreement. So I tried to convince the majority side that how about if they agree to vet Akando so that you push Ablakwa to Friday morning. Is that acceptable? They said no, they must vet the 2 of them that day. Then I went to the minority side and tried to plead with them. Is it okay for you to vet Akando since he's already seated, and then we can defer Ablakwa to Friday morning? And they also said no, they will not vet Akando. Some were okay, some said we don't have a problem with Akando, but we have a problem vetting Ablakwa tonight. So I decided to engage the minority leader, and I asked him to come out of the committee room with me so that we can talk. So outside, he gave a very strong objection and said his side will not agree, and that they were tired and they agreed on 3, and they had been generous enough to do 5, and we want to push them to do 7. It was too much, and it was already late. It was about 8 p.m., and they were tired. They would not continue the work. So when I noticed that he could not come along with me to at least agree to vet Akando, I came back trying to talk to some people on his side to prevail on him, and the situation had degenerated and then tried to talk to them and come back into the meeting room, and the audience were mostly behind the nominee, were also participating in, as you could see in the videos, shouting and, shaming members of the minority side. And then also the corridors were full. So even within the corridor, it was difficult to move around freely. So that was the situation. So I decided to call 1 or 2 people to consult and take a decision on what to do. And ultimately, I decided that it would be better to end the proceedings, by which time they had broken one table. They had pulled out the plugs of the microphones, and in 1 or 2 instances, they had actually smashed the microphones. And so I thought the best thing to do was to bring proceedings to an end and get the chairman to postpone it to the following day. And so I announced that, and they all accepted and dispersed. Those were what I saw and what I did on that day.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. Colleagues, this is the witness account. Any question from any of our members that we can discharge him to go?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Majority Leader, if you could just confirm, just for the records, that the video that we just watched is an accurate depiction of what you remember on the day.
Depending on where you were seated that evening, you will see different things. I was seated exactly where Honorable Bidziding is seated. So I could only see directly opposite me a lot of what was happening on this side until I got up. I was seated for a very long time, to tell you the truth. I was just seated calmly throughout. And so I saw a bit of what was directly opposite me. On this side, I only saw Akando sitting here, and then he had a few people behind him. I think that the video depicts an aspect of what happened, depending on where the camera was positioned. As you can see them, they were positioned at different locations. Some were to the left, others to the right, and so those who were to the right were capturing. But when it got heated, some took their cameras and tried to capture it from a position that they thought could tell the story better. So and others used their mobile phones, and they came and they were all over the place trying to capture different angles. So this, I believe, reflects one of the angles, but there were different other angles.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. We have a lot of videos from different angles, from different people. But this is just to identify that you were there on that day. And so thank you very much.
I was there.
Okay. Any more?
Okay. At what time was it?
I believe that was between 7 and 8.
PM.
Between 7 and 8 p.m., yeah. I think that's when the confusion started and dragged on for a while.
Thank you very much. Leader, Majority Leader, I'd just like to find out whether there was a prior agreement to vet Honorable Akujato and Honorable Akando for the day, in addition to the ones that were undertaken, whether leadership of the committee actually had that agreement. Thank you.
The original schedule actually provided for Ablakwa to be vetted on Thursday. Indeed, he had approached me personally to see if it could be vetted earlier, because the president had started traveling, and I think was even traveling to one of the Eastern or Southern African countries. And the suggestion was that the president was traveling and he didn't have the support of his Minister for Foreign Affairs. So it was important to see if we could have Ablakwa taken so that he could be sworn in and he could start working around the president's travels. So he approached me to see if he could be shifted to Wednesday or even Tuesday. And it was difficult because others had been scheduled earlier. So to shift him, you needed to move somebody out. I, on a number of occasions, tried to get the chairman to shift him forward. It didn't happen. So I negotiated that they should vet him on Wednesday. And it turned out that on Wednesday there was a decision to invite Vamevo and not to vet any nominee. So it then became the position that the original date of Thursday that he was scheduled was the day that he would be vetted. So the week before, he had already been scheduled to be vetted on Thursday. So Thursday was his appropriate vetting day.
Yeah, Leader, I want to find out if I heard you right. You said originally they had agreed on vetting 3, but by the intervention of Honorable Nicho, the Minister for Transport, the nominee for Transport, they agreed to vet that minister on that Thursday. I don't know whether I heard you right.
I said I spoke to both sides, and each side had a different account. The minority side said that their understanding was that they were to vet 3 nominees. But then when they came after the 3 nominees, their colleagues convinced them and they added 1 nominee. And after that, their colleagues requested for an additional nominee, and that was a nominee for Minister of Transport. They resisted that, but Nitul, who was part of them, pleaded on behalf of the nominee for Transport, so they added him and vetted 5 of them. That is the account given by the minority members that I spoke to that day.
Colleagues, we'll take the last one, then we can ask the leader to go.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Leader, would you want to confirm that you approached both leadership, the minority and then the majority, and yet they failed to arrive at a compromise? You approached them both, tried to mediate, and yet they failed to arrive at a compromise. Thank you.
Yeah, I spoke to both sides. I spoke to them. I tried to convince them, but each side was adamant, insisted that somebody like Ablakwa had been slated to be vetted that date. He had come with his family and his chiefs. I think the pressure was coming from the fact that the nominees on the record were slated for that day, and the nominees had come here with their families and their chiefs, and they were all out there. So members of the majority side were having a difficulty. What do we do with these families? What do we do with these chiefs that we have made to travel all, this far to come, and then we'll tell them it's 8 p.m. They've sat here since morning, and you want us to tell them to go back? And that was the difficulty, that the nominees were here with their families, with their chiefs, and to ask the nominees to go back with their families and come back the following day was going to be a major inconvenience. That was really what was pushing. It wasn't just because they had the numbers and they could railroad their way through. It was just, what do we do? I had confronted a similar situation last week where nominees had come with even the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, the president of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs, with his whole, Regional House of Chiefs. They were here, 10, 15 chiefs. Greater Accra he sat here the whole day. And then we finished approving, taking the report on those whose reports had been laid in the House. We finished around 8. We came here and there were 3 or 4 sets of nominees with their chiefs. And again, the minority side said it was late, they were tired, and they couldn't start processing them. And the majority said they would not agree. Those chiefs had been sitting here the whole day, and they couldn't tell them to go back home. So on that day, I had to take responsibility. And I invited the nominees themselves into a room outside here and personally pleaded with them. They begged and begged. I said, no, it is late. It is 8 p.m. And you know that the average number of hours we spend on each nominee is 3 hours. So just do the calculation. If we take you'll be here till 11. Then the next chief and next nominee and his chiefs will sit and also start at 11 and do 3 hours. That will be 2 a.m. And then the next person, I said, why would you treat these old men like that? So the nominees then calmed down. I remember one nominee said the day before she had come to see us, and we agreed and confirmed and assured her that she would be vetted. And this dress that she had prepared for this vetting, she had worn it and come, and then I'm saying she should go home and change her dress and come back. And then we joked about it, but then she agreed and said, but she didn't know what to do about her chiefs. So I said, leave that to me. So I asked for the president of the Greater Accra House of Chiefs to come to the meeting, and he came with his elders. And I explained to him the situation we found ourselves. I said, this is the situation. It is 8 o'clock. By the time we start, it will be 9 o'clock. And the average is 3 hours. Nana, do you want to sit here till 12 midnight? Then he said, no. And I said, so what can you do for us? He said, well, I can agree to do it tomorrow. And so we resolved it. It took a lot of effort to persuade the chiefs to go back and then return the following day. The following day, that nominee was wearing an even more pretty dress. So I said, see, we gave an opportunity.